Hello friends, I am Chevee. Welcome to my shed. How are you doing today? It's early because I just got back from a early showing of the Force. Maybe it was too early. An early showing of Last Jedi. Be warned, there will be lots of spoilers here in a few minutes. But before we get into me talking about specifics about the film, I would like to give you my review without telling you anything about the film. No spoilers here. I really liked the movie. I thought it was a really well done film. On a lot of different levels. I say that as a huge Star Wars nerd, as well as a fan of entertainment media. It was very well put together. There are issues, obviously. As any super fan is going to pick apart things, there will always be issues in the minds of the super fans. But I also feel like this movie was made by a super fan. And so if you want Star Wars, I don't think that anything else has come as close as this film has to what made the first movie, maybe Empire, so special. And so I'm excited about episode 9, but I think what's more important is I'm excited about what Rian Johnson's going to do with his trilogy that he's been given, because what he did here, I have no clue what the goofball they brought in first did. What I can tell you is what Rian Johnson put together here was extremely well done. And I'm definitely going to be seeing it more times. Maybe even again today. I don't know. But yeah, it's definitely worth seeing. We'll leave it at that. And so yeah, that's it. That's if you don't want to hear me talk about spoilers, then I suggest you leave now, because we're going to get right into some of the strong plot points, some of the weak plot points, and yeah. So thank you if you are leaving me now. Thank you for watching. Come back and watch the rest of this when you go see the film. All right, so the first thing I will say is when I left the theater, my initial reaction was 2.5 hours and nothing happened. And I still kind of feel that way. And I'm not saying that as a bad thing. What I mean is that there was no actual development in this entire 2.5 hours. It was the world's slowest car chase. Like an 18-hour, we're going after them car chase that didn't start anywhere and didn't end anywhere. At the beginning of the film, the rebels are fleeing their base and they're on the run. At the end of the film, the rebels are fleeing their base, they're on the run. They were never established there. So there's no large happening, like outside of the realm of these 6 characters that make up the 2 storylines. Nothing happened. It's literally 100% character development. 100%. I mean, Snoke's death is probably the biggest thing that happened. And it's kind of glossed over. Like, oh, Snoke's dead, cool. Who's in charge now? And then they keep doing what they're doing. Like, well, we're just going to keep plotting after these guys, right? There was no moment in the movie where it was the bad guys got a foothold, the good guys got a foothold. There was no moment where anything outside of these two little storylines, nothing happened. So that one it struck me as odd, but I'm definitely not disappointed in it, because in the first movie, in 7, I felt like a lot happened that didn't need to happen. Like, it was just superfluous action and sequences just for the sake of having, flying starships and all this other stuff. In this movie, there was some of that. There were, I cringed at the Falcon flying through the mine. Like, I'm so sick of flying through caves and tunnels. Like, seriously, I'm just over that. But other than that, really, this whole movie was like, took place, 2 different storylines took place in very small spaces, just bridges of ships on a extremely tiny island, and that was it. Like, there was really not a whole lot of room to tell a galaxy-wide story. They weren't trying to tell the story of what's happening now that the Senate's gone or anything like that. And that brings me to my first real criticism, and I've had this criticism. I mean, I guess in the first trilogy, it's the same way, but we don't know why we're supposed to be upset with these guys. Like we don't have any basis to understand what's so wrong about the First Order. Like they seem kind of prosperous. Like what exactly have they done to the galaxy as a whole that makes people feel oppressed? Because we don't know. Like they haven't shown us any of that, and they didn't. Lucas didn't show us that in the original trilogy, and I guess he tried to show us that in the prequels, their overthrowing of the Senate and all that stuff. So it's like, we still don't have that. We know that the Senate has been destroyed, and that's it. But governmentally, imperially, what has happened? We're not. I guess we're not really sure. We don't really have any real insight. I guess the kids in the horse races, those are the closest thing we have to seeing oppressed children. So maybe we see a little bit of oppression there, but we don't see, we never see why these guys are so bad. Like, what's so bad about them? They take kids and turn them into stormtroopers? Well, that's pretty much the model of a lot of societies. And it's the same thing here. We don't really get to see any of their tyranny because of the extremely closed storylines. We don't really get to see them doing anything overtly tyrannical. We just see them chasing after this group of rebels, and that's it. But yeah, the Red Room, Snoke's room, and that whole sequence was one of the most amazing Star Wars sequences I've seen. Snoke's death was just as blah as it needed to be. Like, he didn't deserve a big death because we never really knew him as anything. So just having him he's dead, that's cool. And then Rey and Ren, Kylo coming together to fight side by side, that was pretty badass. And watching that whole sequence was really fun. And it really showed us these two characters fractured. So I think the other takeaway that I have is that the other scene that I thought was really, I think is or will be more glossed over than it should be, is Yoda's part in this whole story. When Yoda shows up and he tells Luke that, stop worrying about this whole training thing, she already has everything she needs. Luke's like the Jedi die, and Yoda's like, she already has everything she needs. I think he was alluding to the fact that Rey had stolen the books. I think that's why he burned the tree, was because he didn't want Luke to see that the books were gone. Rey has them. We get to see them at the end when she closes the drawer. When the drawer's closing, there's the books. She took the books. So I think what Yoda was trying to say is this whole Jedi Order bullcrap is like something that was fabricated on top of what it actually means to be a Jedi. And that these texts are way more important than this training and lightsabers and this whole Jedi Knight stuff instead of the Jedi monk stuff. And so now Rey has the ability to learn how to control this because she doesn't need a teacher. She has the books. The books can tell her, listen, what you've heard about all these years is not the way it's supposed to be. And so maybe she gets to go kind of rebuild the Force religion as a religion and not as a dogmatic practice. So I thought that was a really interesting sequence. I enjoyed the battle scenes. They were very light. Even the attack on the Rebel base was a very light scene. It was just kind of glorious, stompy stuff, marching forward under heavy fire with no effect. That's a very common Star Wars theme. I was extremely happy that other than the Millennium Falcon flying through the thing, we danced around a lot of the Star Wars trope, but we didn't have to just, Episode 7 was just so full of they made sure to repeat every single trope ever. Every single line, I know, don't ever tell me the odds, all that crap was in there. None of that was in this. There was the one sequence where the 3PO is telling them that there might be an exit, and he starts to rattle off numbers. I was just like cringing the whole time, just waiting for Poe to say it, and thankfully he just told him to shut up. Like, thank you. And that being said, that sequence, there's a lot of that. There's a lot of humor that is like a core of Star Wars. Was the humor, was just the fact that the original trilogy acknowledged the ridiculousness of it. Han acknowledged how ridiculous this whole thing is. And we didn't get to see any of that really in episode 7. We tried to see, BB-8 give us some laughs or whatever, but in this we had characters acknowledging, and in the prequels, let me talk about it, there was zero humor in the prequels. It was just garbage. And this, the characters acknowledged it. The characters brought in a ton of humor. There were so many laughs, and I really appreciated that, because it really made me feel like I was watching a classic Star Wars film. Like, you have this big storyline of this superpower that is, corrupt and light and all that, but you also have just these witty moments that are funny and a lot of that. So I'm really pleased. Again, overall, I thought the movie was great. It was definitely better than The Force Awakens. Force Awakens was still great, but this one was way better. And I felt like it set up something, but we have no clue what that is. That's my takeaway. Nothing happened to set up anything, is what I'm getting at. There was no end to this where it's like, we have to do this to save everything. This story just kind of ended, and it ended on, maybe we can do something because we have hope. And that's it. And so we don't know what that something is going into episode 9. I guess that's my major criticism, is because this movie was 100% character development and nothing else. There was no story development at all, just character development. We don't know what episode 9 is supposed to be. Like, are we supposed to see... Is the finality of this thing Ren, Kylo falling? Is that it? Is that the end of the story? I mean, obviously not, because when Vader and the Emperor died, there was somebody else, this Snoke guy, stepped up and took over. So if Ren is struck down, then somebody else is just going to come in and take over. So we don't know we have no direction going into 9. Going into this movie, we had direction. Rey was supposed to find Luke, and Luke is going to save the world. That was the direction to set up 8. We have no setup for episode 9 at all. There's nothing. There was nothing preset. So episode 9 could be about anything as long as it resolves something, and it would be like, yep, that's what we were planning all along. Like, you could just totally make it up, and there was no setup, which is my biggest complaint. Episode 9 is just going to come at us, and we just get what we get, with absolutely no talking points beforehand to worry, like, oh, are we going to get this? Are we is the base going to make it? Well, no, it's already gone. Like that, it's all gone. There's nothing. There's the Millennium Falcon and a dozen people. That's it. And so, the little boy at the end, I guess, like, little force power on the broom there. So, the spark of the rebellion has started. Are we going to see that happen in one movie? I guess they're going to have to, unless, Disney's already said that this next trilogy is not set in this area of the galaxy at all. It's a completely separate story. No Skywalkers involved. None of these characters are involved. So, is this the end of this saga? If it is, then man, it's going to be a wild ride in episode 9, because they have to build something. We have no setup for this movie for episode 9. We'll see what happens, but I'm excited for it. I'm upset that they're bringing back Abrams, because I'm just not a fan. I would much rather see Ryan get it, because he did a really good job of saving this film. But I look forward to what he does next. So let me know what you think in the comments. If you do put spoilers down there, please annotate it properly so that people stumbling through here don't go, oh, damn it. But I thought it was great. And I'm going to go enjoy the rest of my weekend with my kids. I should have Keely for the next couple nights, and we're going to play video games and hang out and party. And we actually have an indoor soccer tournament tomorrow. So I bought her some soccer shoes today. She's been wearing basketball shoes, and that's not good. So we're going to play soccer. But yeah, have a good weekend. I'll see you on Monday.
Hey, Doc, wait! I want to ask you something.
Today's random fact comes from pantheon.org. Who is the goddess of beauty in Greek mythology? Aphrodite. In Greek mythology, Aphrodite is the goddess of love, beauty, and sexual rapture. According to Hesiod, she was born when Uranus, the father of the gods, was castrated by his son Cronus. I don't know what to say.